Hey guys, welcome to another Thursday. So this one is short and sweet. It didn't have very much content. Pretty much everything worth talking about was covered last week. The one thing they wanted to get out quick was there is a known issue of the thing that removes the exclamation point alerts on your character panels requires you to restart the game to apply it. So if you're hitting that repeatedly and it's not working, just restart the game. Then we were alerted of the weekly event that is happening this week. It's just Brawl with Revenge removed. It's not a huge modifier, but they're using it as a testing bed to see if players prefer no Revenge in Brawl or not. If it goes through and people enjoy this a lot, we may be seeing it patched into the default Brawl playlist, removing Revenge from that. Following the event playlist, we have a weekend event of Brawling Vanquisher for 2K Steel for a community event, so that fits in nicely with us playing Brawls for this next week. And then we got this week's weekly content, which is a depression cloud. So if you're into that, you can go check that out in game. And the last bit of news that we got is there's a community event in Montreal with community players. There are 6 teams of players playing a 4v4 competitive Dominion. There's a bunch of cringe introductions for the participants and a ton of bans, and it should be a 3-week long entertainment focused tournament. So for those of you who enjoy that kind of stuff, you can be on the lookout for that. And that should wrap up all the news for this week in relevance to players. And then to fill some time, they got a short Q&A that gave us some answers to a few commonly asked questions. The first one they hit on is that they're not going to discuss Season 4 content, it's way too early for that. And they monitor the overall data of the top 7% for all game modes, and they also test things internally and externally with a ton of different factors. It's not purely matchmaking data that they use to balance characters. And they were asked to clarify why players are getting kicked for having less than 30 FPS. This is a PC only thing, but it does happen to a few people. And the reason is you get kicked for less than 30 FPS because the tick rate is 30 Hz. So it updates on every new frame, or every 30 frames per second if you have more than that. If you can't keep 30 FPS, you ruin the experience for everybody else, as you end up sending data too late and ruin the simulation, so it causes a lot of resync and other issues. And finally, the last bit that I found interesting in the Q&A is Eric Pope brought up the reworks, and that it takes a ton of time to do the reworks and new skills because they mocap all of it, and that requires time and actual human actors to record, and then they embed it into the game, balance it, fine-tune the animations, etc. And to showcase that, Eric Pope is going to try and give us a behind the scenes on how this mocapping works and how they can go ahead and import things from the real world into the game. So hopefully we'll see a better perspective on how these things are done, and we'll have more appreciation for how much time they actually take. And on top of just showing us what's happening behind the scenes, this should result in some very interesting behind the scenes footage, which I don't know about you guys, but I personally love seeing that stuff. So cheers to that. And that should wrap up today's Warriors Den stream in about 3.5 minutes. If you enjoyed it, please leave me a like. If you loved it, give me a sub, and I will see you guys on the battlefield.